Welcome back to Wakey WInes. Straight facts. Straight facts. Abdul, come forward. No, Abdul, go back. It's funny. I can't lie. The WFD is sweet. St. Prime. £100 can. Honestly, I love and hate that guy at the same time. Legitimately, he's smart, because if the public are dumb enough to spend that much money on his sweets and this prime drink, and no disrespect to KSI and Logan Paul, I'm sure it tastes like any other energy drink. I bet it tastes no different. Lucas says if they're prepared to pay that money, then fair play to them. But everybody's good. But the question I've got for you, Lee, today is, what's the best shop in Wakey?
Wakey WInes.
I like those kids though that went Tesco's and he actually got annoyed and he walked off. It was great.
People queuing up to buy that for £100 a pop, Terry. Yeah, the guy's a bit of a genius, really, because he's realised there's a hype train here. Yeah, he's the only shop that's got it. He probably could have charged £500 a bottle and people would have brought it.
I mean, I've seen the queues for it, and I've seen certain supermarkets limiting people with the 3 each and stuff. And listen, it shows the power of KSI and Logan Paul. It shows the influence. That's why, by the way, when you have somebody with 10,000 followers on Instagram that says, "Oh, I'm an influencer," it makes me feel sick. No, these guys are influencers. When you can actually, that's what I call an influencer. But fair play to their power and their marketability and their fame and their following, that they're able to launch this product and so many people want it. But I'm one of these people, really. Like, I do hope I hope my kids don't fall that much in love with some content creator that they want to send me 400 miles to drive to Wakefield from London.
Imagine that conversation. Crazy. Imagine that conversation, though. Right, you're sitting there as a dad. You're just sitting there chilling, watching TV. Your kid comes in and says, Dad, I really want to get this drink and it's sold out everywhere. Like, okay, cool. What's it called? It's called Prime. So you're going, okay, yeah, it is sold out. Yeah, but there's this shop in Wakefield that has it. Wakefield's near Leeds, right?
Yeah, that part of England, yeah.
Yeah, but son, we're in Milton Keynes or London. Yeah, but Dad, I've got to have the drink. Okay, son, how much is it? £100 a bottle, Dad. Come on, like, you just seriously, mate.
He's selling it for more than a high quality bottle of champagne. That's the maddest part about it. And there's no way it's as good as a bottle of champagne in terms of the overall quality of the drink. But do you know what's mad? Like, when we were kids, there's always been trends. When we were kids, I'd tell you, one of the biggest trends was, I think they're called Panini now, but they were Merlin stickers back in the day, the Premier League sticker books. Now, shops were sold out of them everywhere, but every shop sold a packet of stickers for the same price. The way the world's gone now, like back, imagine that you walked in and, yeah, we've got some Premier League stickers. Oh, brilliant. How much? Yeah, £50 a pack. Our parents would have just laughed. And you can't speak for everybody. There definitely are people that are going through a crisis right now financially, but it just also goes to show, like, that people moan about. I always said this: when someone says they've got no money, that they've got a £200 pair of trainers on, I say your priorities are wrong. That's always been my view, but that's just me.
My granddad told me this. Bless him, he's up in the sky now. He told me this years and years before he died. Yeah, he said, if you can't afford to buy something twice, you can't afford it. Yeah, and that's how it is. If you can't afford to, like, people that are driving around in these flash cars and all that, it's like, if you can't afford to buy it twice, mate, you can't afford that car, innit?
Well, it's funny you say that. When I worked in banking, to lend businesses money, they had to pass a threshold of 2.5 the repayment. So they had to have enough profits in their business to be able to afford the loan 2.5 times over. Otherwise, we wouldn't lend it to them, because we had to make sure that if their business regressed slightly, they still had enough money to pay it back. So yeah, it's a very good adage. Viewers, we are talking football as well today, not just about Wakey WInes and prime drink and WFD drinks. Did you see that?
Mid-flow, I've got a delivery driver that's lost in my block.
No worries. I'll let everyone know no worries. I'll let everyone know what's coming up on the show. We're talking Mudryk to Arsenal. ESPN today have stated that the deal will happen. So Mudryk to Arsenal, done deal soon, as per the title of this show. We're going to be looking at Joao Felix and his move to Chelsea. But we're asking a big question about Joao Felix today. Is Joao Felix a cuckold? Is he a cuckold? I want to get everyone's thoughts on this, because supposedly his girlfriend's boyfriend is also joining Chelsea. So we're going to be delving into that on the show today. I'm going to giving you my takes on Harry Kane to Man United. This deal will be on. Me and Lee will be debating that in more detail. And we are asking a question. The poll's out there now for you to vote for. Are Arsenal fully backing Arteta this January? We're going to go through that and much, much more on the Football Terrace today. But what we need from you is that like button smashed right now. So give it a bit of a smash. Give it a subscribe. And I know Lee didn't hear everything I said there, but I did say that we're talking about my take on Harry Kane to United, our Arsenal being backed enough, Mudryk to Arsenal, Joao Felix to Chelsea. Within that, I want to ask a question: is Joao Felix a cuck? Because there are Joao Felix's girlfriend's boyfriend is joining Chelsea as well. Yeah, Lee's face.
Jeremy Kyle stuff, mate.
Jeremy Kyle. It's a bit of a joke, people, so I don't take it overly. I know football fans don't know how to take jokes anymore because your mum and dad were terrible at their job, but I don't know. It's true. I do mean this. People that have no sense of humor, their parents did a bad job. People that don't like hearing opinions they disagree with, your parents did a bad job. Your brain ain't been developed right. I love hearing opinions I dislike. I've seen everyone getting mad today at Craig from Anfield Agenda. How dare he say like Henderson's better than Scholes? Well, we know Scholes is better than Henderson, but he's allowed to have that opinion if he wants to give that opinion. Like, what do you want him cancelled for? Like, this cancel culture is mad. Your parents did a bad job. They did a bad job. And I'll tell them to their face as well. 100%. I'm not saying you have to agree with everybody's opinion, but to be like, no, I don't want to see him on my screen. It's like, well, one, you don't have to watch. Two, calm your brain down. Anyway, his girlfriend's boyfriend. Listen, we'll go into that later. Actually, we'll start with Joao Felix. So, Joao Felix to Chelsea. Did you see that as a bolt from the blue yesterday?
I did, and I'm fuming, if I'm honest. Bro, we're going to come into Arsenal in a bit, so I'll just talk about Felix for now. But they need players. Well, I don't think they need him, if I'm honest. They've already got a player very similar to him in Kai Havertz. Although I would take Felix over Havertz in a heartbeat. Maybe that's what Potter's thinking. Maybe get Felix in. He's better than Havertz, blah, blah, blah. But I just, bro, nothing surprises me with Chelsea. This has been happening even in the Roman era. They just go in and bang, last minute, we're having him, we'll pay the money. Yeah, and it's like, it's funny because I see so many people sitting there saying, oh, Chelsea haven't got a plan. Oh, they're just sitting there hijacking deals. Yeah, because I can imagine that the Chelsea board of directors are all just sat there, just chilling, like, cool. Oh, quick, Fabrizio's just tweeted, Arsenal will put a second bid in. Yeah, Man United are after him. Quick, give me the phone. Todd Bowley going, yeah, is that Madrid? Yeah, Fabrizio's just tweeted, we're on our way, mate. Like, bro, these transfer deals, they know all these clubs know every step of the way. Man United, Arsenal and Chelsea, yeah, we only got told it was Arsenal and Man United in for him that have registered their interest, yeah? But Chelsea would have been waiting in the background, knows everything that we've offered and put on the table. And then Chelsea have decided, okay, let's see how it goes for another day or so. They'll probably still be in contact with the agent and so on. Does the player want to come? Blah, blah, blah. The player probably wanted to come to United, wanted to come to Arsenal, wanted to come to Chelsea. Whoever puts the money up, he's going. He don't want to be there. Yeah, Simeone don't want him. Simeone's actually leaving at the end of the season, I think, isn't he? I think that came out last night. So there's been a tug of war there somewhere. Simeone wouldn't just up sticks and leave. I'm baffled that he's going at the end of the season. That guy's God in Madrid. Yeah, but in terms of Chelsea and Felix, listen, it could go one or two ways because the way they're playing at the minute, they need a bit of creativity, a bit of class in the team. But I feel that they need defensive midfielder more than they need him. They need midfielders over him, like deep lying, proper defensive midfielder as well.
I hear you. Joshua here says Felix is such a waste of money for Chelsea. They will be returning him to Madrid at the end of the window. Please explain the benefit to Chelsea getting him. I mean, if he comes in and is brilliant, there'll be a benefit. He'll score goals. He's creative. If you get the very best Joao Felix, then great. Where this deal for me, though, and I'm happy Man United didn't do it. Now that we know, now you see the wood for the trees. I remember when we didn't get Haaland first time round. And then I was relatively happy that we didn't get him because I didn't like the idea of this £50 million buyout clause in 2 years' time, meaning you have no control to a degree because we all knew Haaland was going to be worth more than that and people would be willing to bid it. The problem is that Simeone is going to leave. They've already extended his contract to 2027. So theoretically, Chelsea could get him cooking, and then Atletico just say, we're having him back now. For me, what Arsenal and Man United were trying to do was to get that option to buy at the end that gives them control. But Chelsea's circumstance, what I would say to Joshua, was very different. Chelsea's circumstance, they need someone because Sterling's not having the chances created for him. Mason Mount, I'm going to quote Chelsea fans here, nobody has any idea what he's good at anymore. And Kai Havertz is done at Chelsea. He's done at Chelsea. And you can tell that he is one of those players that Graham Potter was talking about the other day when he said, there are certain players that are just not part of my plans. There's certain players that won't be here. There's certain players that we're going to have to move on. So I look at it from the perspective of, I look, he's a good player. I think for 6 months he could do well for Chelsea, but it is very much short-termism. And to your point, Chelsea were in for him, but Chelsea weren't that interested until this last 2 defeats to City. I think a bit of panic has come in. I'm not saying the manager's close to being sacked at all, but I think there's 2 back-to-back defeats. There's a knee-jerk reaction and almost, okay, listen, Atty, we'll give you the terms you want rather than what Man United and Arsenal were trying to negotiate into you. And it's gone Chelsea's way and they brought him in. But look, he could score them goals. The weirdest part about this deal is the secondary deal connected to it. So Spurs are in for Pedro. I think it's pronounced Porro. Pedro Porro he's a right back at Sporting Lisbon. Chelsea are now 100% trying to hijack that deal. Now, this is where this is confusing because about a year ago, a rumor came out that Pedro Porro was having relations with Joao Felix's girlfriend. So, like, they were having a little bit of the horizontal hula. Now, it's been denied, and Joao Felix is still with his girlfriend. So there's three outcomes of this hijack for me. It either means it was complete and utter nonsense, and they're friends and they're happy to play football together, or Joao Felix enjoys it. Because there's no way they'd be hijacking this deal for Pedro Porro if Joao Felix and him had genuine dislike and distaste for each other. Like I know that teammates don't always get on, but this is just, adding, oil to water to an oil fire. Does that make sense? Like you're literally creating more problems for yourself as a football club. But I was reading this story and it's actually mad. Like, there are a lot of people that think there's definitely been something going on. I've seen a lot of Joao Felix's fanboys who are like outraged that he's back with her. They were like, why are you back with her? You shouldn't be with her. She treats you badly. And I was like, oh my days. Like,
and not one of them that's tweeted that has got a girlfriend between them.
maybe. I mean, maybe it's an open relationship. I don't know. And some people are saying some saying it's a lie, some saying it isn't. I'm just going by the fact that Joao Felix's fanboys don't like her. So that tells me there must be some element of truth to this. But equally, listen, Joao Felix might be into that, might be his kink, bro. Like I'm not into that. But some men are.
Behind closed doors, Terry. We don't know what happens, mate. I'm still waiting for Kante stories to come out that he's into like dwarf porn or something, like, because everyone guesses up. Kante, oh, he's such a nice guy, bro. He's got skeletons in the closet like everyone. Real talk. Yeah, but yeah, it's a bit mad. Bro. It's probably just an internet rumor that started because she was probably spotted in the nightclub or some rubbish. I don't know. I've not seen the story, but it was probably some rumor that was started by a 14-year-old on the internet that's just took off, and then it's all just gone from there, really. But at the end of the day, he's paid to play football, and so is the other lad. So if they play in the same team, they don't have to sit and talk to each other all day, do they? As long as they pass the ball to each other.
I know. But listen, it may not be true, and it might not be. But I thought it was an interesting dynamic because I get it's 2023, business is business. But I'm going to be blunt. I'm not working with a guy that slides into my other half's DMs. If they know we're together, that is. Like, someone doesn't know I've got a girlfriend and some random slides into Jesse's DMs, cool. But if another content creator just privately messaged her whilst he knows we're together, one, it's on site, straight up.
Terry chose violence today.
you don't disrespect another man in that way. And secondly, like, I'm never working with you ever. I have principles. I'm not doing it. I mean, someone will say, yeah, I'm just not doing it, especially on my terms. You're not coming to work for me. I'm not putting a panel together for a show. Invite Joe Blogs. I'm not going to say. I was about to say someone's name. It hasn't happened. Well, I don't have it's happened. I don't go through. I don't go through Jesse's DMs. I'm not that insecure. I don't even ask. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one for me because, as I say, I wouldn't have believed the rumors, but it was the way Joao Felix's supporters were like going at her online. Does that make sense? Normally, the supporters of somebody they would say, no, it didn't happen. But they were like, nah, she's horrible. She's done it 3 times or something. I was like, my God. Chelsea sponsor 3 represents Grealish's girlfriend's fetish. That's ironic. Isn't ironic? John Terry and Wayne Bridge 2.0.
Why is it always Chelsea this happens, by the way?
True.
It's always Chelsea. What is going on here?
True. It could be. Terry having PTSD. I'm not actually. I'm just.
Who hurt yourself? Tell us. Come on, we're here to help.
Do you know what it is? Like, no one like that. It's not really. I've been very lucky. That's nothing I've ever personally experienced. So I don't know what that feeling is like. Or if I did, I don't know about it. So, like, as far as I'm concerned, it didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it did, but I didn't know. So, like, yeah, there's no pain my end. I'm very good like that. I'm not going to say when I was a younger man I was so good myself, but I definitely when I was younger, do you know what I mean? But that's why I remember my little brother having a girlfriend when he was 16, 17. I'm like, why? He went, I wanted a girlfriend. I went, but now you can't do what you want. Like, be free. Honestly, if I could
sit her down and say you're not the only girlfriend, Terry.
If I could make a law in England, if I could make a law in this country, legit, I would make it illegal for a man and a woman or a man and a man, don't care about the orientation. I would make it that you can't have a boyfriend or girlfriend until you're over 25. I'd make it illegal. You can see people, date people, sleep with people, but you can't be a couple. Live your life. Don't tie yourself down. Have fun. When you're older, do all that boring stuff. Do you know what I mean? But it's as simple and straightforward as that. But Chelsea looking like they're going to spend more money. They're still in for Enzo. Badashila's in. Another Fofana's through the door. I don't know much about David Fofana. Obviously, they've just gone and got Joao Felix. It looks like their spending, including Pedro Porro, if they bring him in, could go over 500 million this year. There's a lot of pressure on Graham Potter, though. A lot of fans calling for him to be sacked. What do you make of your twin brother's pressure right now?
Well, I'm deliberately growing out the beard, just so I can get the gig. Maybe they should put me in charge, mate. I find it funny. Because I commented on a post you put on Instagram the other day. You was like, yeah, Posh, it's a disgrace. He should be sacked or something you put. Yeah, and I was like, where was this energy when Arteta was sat 15th for 5 games in a row when Tuchel was available? You didn't reply. I don't think you even see it. Right? But it's true. He's had no players of his own. He's gone in, like Arteta did, come into a squad that had multiple players from different managers and all of that. Yeah, and Chelsea fans the other night when they got pumped up at Man City were singing Roman Abramovich and Thomas Tuchel's names all the way through the game. It's crazy. But if they give him what he wants, then I think he'll do all right. Because the style of play is there straight away. You know he's going to get a style of play once he gets his players. The players he's got. Terry, let's not forget as well, they've got 9 players out injured and 5 of them walk straight in the first 11. They have Reece James, Chilwell, Mount, Mendy, Sterling. They'll walk straight in the first 11. So they've got players out injured, and it just goes to show that the players that are coming in are a load of rubbish. Yeah, Aubameyang don't even look like he wants to play football anymore. Yeah, he's probably regretting his life choice of going to Chelsea when he was in Barca. You've got Raheem Sterling, who's done next to nothing really since he's been there. Reece James is always injured. Mason Mount, decent player, but their fans hate him. Then you've got Koulibaly, who looks like a finished footballer. Their best defender's 30, 38, 37, whatever he is. Like, it's mad. Then you got Cucurella, who the manager obviously knows and has worked with, but he ain't been that great. He's been a lot better than some of their other players, but their midfield's the biggest issue. Jorginho, mate, why is he there? Like, honestly, why is he there? And then you've got Kovacic. I think Kovacic is an all right player, but mate, he's just to get the ball and give it to someone better type of player, isn't he? He's not going to drive forward. He's not going to spray balls over the defense. He's not going to pass the ball through the lines. He's just he's like a better version of El Neni. He'll get the ball. Don't overcomplicate it. Just pass it to someone better, right? But that's all well and good if you've got better players around him. They ain't. Kante's out injured. Yeah, he's finished anyway. They're trying to offer him a new contract. What's that all about? Like, he was finished 2 years ago. Get rid of him. Yeah, and then their midfield's the biggest problem. And they should be, instead of going for Felix, they should be going out there getting midfielders. They should have got midfielders in the summer. But they need a proper defensive midfielder. That they should be going and looking at Caicedo or, I don't know, somebody like McAllister, players like that. Yeah, both of them, funny enough, both at Brighton. Yeah, you're telling me he can't go and raid his old club?
Well, yeah, listen, I get a lot of what you're saying. The Graham Potter situation, I totally get and understand. There are some. Listen, I've seen the messages. Even on the post, I've seen a few people write things like, "Let's get rid of this dumb Englishman," and I'm like, maybe your issue is that he's English. Some people, they've got a thing with English players, English managers. I put them aside. I don't really take their opinions too seriously. I get there's another percentage of Chelsea fans who still think that the early Roman era can repeat, where it's just spend money and the world will change overnight. I think that era is done because everybody has money now. You can't spend your way out of trouble by itself. You have to have a plan. And it's interesting because, of course, a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of Man United fans, a lot of Chelsea fans, a lot of Liverpool fans yesterday scoffed at David Ornstein when he printed that Joao Felix picked Chelsea because of their project. What project? I mean, my challenge would be more, well, he might not be there for the project because he's only there for 6 months. The whole what project? I'm thinking, let's not get twisted that they've spent nearly £400 million on established players. Chelsea have gone out and bought lots of players that are 22 years and under, lots of young up and coming talent. That isn't Roman's way of spending. Roman did buy young players. Of course he did. I mean, Chelsea invested in their academy more than anybody else, but it was more of a mechanism to make money on loans than it was to directly improve the first team. So they've already got a different approach, and it's going to take Graham Potter time to get this working. And one of the biggest things I would say is this: getting rid of dead wood is very hard when you take over mid-season. You have to have windows ahead of you. And I think that had Graham Potter come in at the beginning of June, I think 2 or 3, 4 of the players that are currently in your first team, some that you bought in the summer, Aubameyang as an example, and others that he inherited, may not be at this football club. They may not be here. He has just picked up an absolute mess. A mess that I think Todd Bowley and all the people he's employed have tried to improve. But if you actually look at the people that Chelsea have brought in to run the club, they come with such a pedigree. I just don't see how they're going to get this completely wrong in the medium to long term. And I think that right now, Chelsea fans are feeling the pain. I think Chelsea fans are feeling the bite. I think Chelsea fans are feeling embarrassed because of where they've sat for the last 2 decades, especially those young Chelsea fans that don't remember Chelsea as you and I do when they were a nothing club before anybody took them seriously. The latter 90s and early noughties, under, of course, the late, great Gianluca Vialli and co, when Rudulic came in, that was a good Chelsea team. But prior to that, Chelsea did nothing in English football for about 50 years.
Cars parked around the stadium. Do you remember that? Do you remember the sign? Save our bridge. Save the bridge.
It was done. It was a dead club in that regard, in terms of conversations with the giant clubs. And I think Chelsea fans have got to, the expression I would use is keep your powder dry for a short period of time, relax, and things will start to get better. There were just mistakes made in the summer. And that's something we can all look back at as football fans and reflect on objectively and say, actually, allowing Tuchel to stay was the mistake. They should have just said, listen, your plans and our plans don't align. Let's move you on. And they should have brought Graham Potter in the summer, given him a pre-season, bought some, you only got to look at like Zachariah's recent inclusion. They're not winning games, but the difference, he's so much better than what they've been using. Some of those young players have been coming on as subs, and you think, well, they've got to start games because they actually want to be there. Aubameyang, for me, I don't think you should ever kick a ball for Chelsea again, because that man doesn't. He went there reluctantly. He went there to play for Tuchel. Tuchel's not there anymore. It's done. that's it. It's over. It's finished. I kind of feel like Ronaldo went to Man United, partly for the money, of course, the swan song of a return, but he knows and had a good deal of respect for Ollie. They were kind of friends to a degree. He says, like, I'll go and play for you. I guarantee you, if Ten Hag or Ralph would have been the managers in the summer, Ronaldo would have said no. It was the sort of Fergie connection effect, if that makes sense. And that isn't a reason to sign someone at a football club. It should be because they are the right person for the here and now and for the future. But yeah, look, it's an intriguing one for me what Chelsea are doing, and I think that Graham Potter, he is under pressure and he has to start winning some games soon. He has to. And the maddest thing is, I think for the first time, at least in my lifetime, it could be longer, Chelsea are actually behind the two other West London clubs in Brentford and Fulham. I don't remember the last time that happened. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of embarrassment. But they've got to stick with Graham Potter. They have to stick with him because I think that if you're bored, switch again to another manager. And if they go for another manager that's nothing like Graham Potter, I would start to panic as a Chelsea fan. But
they've got to give him this window, the summer window, and then next January window. 3 windows. If he ain't got his squad and playing and getting them up there, sack him. Give him a year. Yeah, 1 year, 3 windows. If he ain't doing it, sack him.
At the very least, you've got to give him that. But I would be more worried as a Chelsea fan if you chopped and changed another manager, because it says there's no club plan. And when there is no club plan, that's when you worry. It's just like Man United at the moment. There was a great article that came out from Laurie Whitwell today, and it spoke about the improvements that Ten Hag had been able to get at the club. And I read it, and I'm just smiling reading it because I'm like, this is what I've been asking for, a club-led plan. But then you get to a bit where it basically says some of the board are scared about allowing this to happen, because what if everything they're doing for Ten Hag doesn't fit a future manager's project? And then it's like, ding, 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 ding. That's the problem. We shouldn't be looking for a manager outside of Ten Hag who isn't aligned to that plan in his style, in his ideology, in his player profile. You're never going to find 2 managers that are exactly the same, but there needs to be a club way of doing things. And if you don't have that, you're ruined. Like City, you're never going to find another Pep Guardiola. You're never going to find the manager as good, as intent, with exactly the same style of football as him. But you can find someone who fits similarly. If you go for a completely different approach, where a manager looks at the profile of player that you've got and says, I need 80% of them gone. If that's your methodology, every 3 to 4 years, you're going to have to spend a colossal amount of money. You'll run out of cash doing that because the players you've got become surplus to requirements, meaning buying clubs will give you less money for them. And you run out. Even City, for how much money they spend, look how much they sell their players for. Because they sell their players as great assets, not as unwanted commodities that the new system doesn't require anymore.
And they also know when to get rid of players as well, which a lot of football clubs don't. They hold on to them too long. And then by that stage, the hype's gone. Yeah, like I was having a conversation with Dan Potts earlier on. And I said, like, Houssem Aouar 2 years ago, Arsenal were twerking for that guy so much. Like, oh, yeah, the board are in love with him. They want this player, blah, blah, blah. Didn't get him. Didn't want to pay the price. Well, now he's down to the last 6 months of his contract 2 years later. Well, why haven't we got him? Yeah, and it's like because his drop off has been mad in the last 2 years. Yeah, and Leon were trying to cash in on him at the right time. Yeah, we didn't want to pay it, and his drop off's been mad. Yuri Tillemans is another one. I like Yuri Tillemans. I think he's an all right player. Yeah, but the drop off this season from last season is crazy. Why ain't anyone gone in for him? Because they've seen that drop off. Yeah, and they're like, oh, okay, that's put us off a little bit. Like, and that happens all the time, Terry. Right? And the thing is with clubs like Manchester City and Chelsea at times, not all the time, but at times, they do get high value for their players because most of the time they know when to bin them. Yeah, so if they can see a player's not really doing it, they'll bin them and they'll get half decent money for them because they won't outprice everyone. Like Leon outpricing everyone 45, 50 million or whatever it was for Houssem Aouar in a pandemic was a joke. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous. He weren't worth that. Yeah, but if that was now and he was putting in the performances that we were linked to him back then, it'd probably be 60 mil. Mate,
I totally understand. And the difficulty of these conversations is people understanding what I mean. And essentially what I break it down to is the club plan is key. You can't be going for when you switch managers, the ideology can't be hugely different. And I bet you'll find, like, you know, and if it is, that's what's going to destroy things. So if Chelsea do get rid of Graham Potter, but they just go for a better version of Graham Potter, someone with a similar style approach, who's just yeah, who's just better at doing it, then there isn't so much a problem, barring the compensation. But if you suddenly went from Eddie Howe and you went, right, we're going to go for Diego Simeone, that tells you your club has no plan, because that would mean the three managers that have essentially allowed to run the club have all been very different from each other in a very short space of time, have a very different approach to football, very different style of player they want, age profile of player. Some develop youth, some don't. You know, so you look at it and think to yourself, what are we doing? And if that's your approach in 2023, you're going to fail, because everybody has money now. There's some super chats I want to go to here. First of all,
I've got a banging toothache, so I'm going to go and get my numbing spray for it, yeah?
All right, bro, no worries. I'm going to do these super chats here. First one says, this lands on the board. They shouldn't have spent 350 million on Tuchel to bring in Potter days later. Question the board for this, the board for their actions, not Potter. Listen, Joshua, you're spot on. When it comes to football clubs now, we don't give enough attention to what the boards do. And it's because football fans, it's weird, right? We know that clubs aren't managed like we can stick it to English football. Clubs aren't managed like Fergie managed them, like Wenger managed them, like Brian Clough managed them, like Shankly managed them. Managers don't manage the football club anymore. They coach the first team, and they do have a say and an oversight in recruiting and scouting, but there's a board that run the football club. It's different now. So if back in the day we put all the pressure on the manager because he was running every element of the football club, not the commercial side, the football side, why don't we put as much pressure on the boards now when they pick up 60, 70% of the responsibilities of a manager of old? It's mad. It's mad. We are so indoctrinated as football fans. And I get this because we like to wind each other up and riot about it's always the manager, always the manager, always the manager. It isn't. So much of this comes down to how you're run, the structure at your club and the culture at your football club. It's massive. Imagine being in a title race unexpectedly and wasting 10 days of a transfer window. We must maximize. We'll come back to that one. We'll come back to that one, bro. Actually, that's a good one, but we'll come back to that later on. I feel like Potter at Chelsea might end up like David Moyes. I mean, that could also happen. That could also happen. Frank Leboeuf, the club legend, we need to go at the players. I mean, Frank Leboeuf also said you've got to sack Graham Potter. He did say that as well, I believe. I read that he said it. I didn't actually see him say it.
He went mad. He went absolutely mad. He was talking about Havertz, and he said, yeah, apart from a Champions League goal, what have you done? He goes, Jorginho, he goes, don't even get me started on him. He shouldn't even be at the club. He was going mental, mate.
But it's true. But this is the point. This is the point I mean about profiles. Jorginho was brought in to help build the philosophy of Sarri. But since the philosophy of Sarri, he's had Lampard that weren't Sarri, Tuchel that's completely opposite from Sarri, and now he's got Potter. So no disrespect to Chelsea, but of course Jorginho isn't looking at his best. He doesn't want to be there. He's leaving at the end of the season. And what the project he was brought in to help build, you literally negated it, left it, and abandoned it less than 12 months in because you didn't have a plan. This is the point. And it's okay going into the second manager, sometimes a third. But once you get to that fourth manager, remember, players are trained and brought up differently in football now, I believe. They're brought up to be good at roles within particular systems. Players are far more system-based than they are free-flowing based now. We know that because football has become a more system-based sport over the past decade. So you have to have the right profile of player for the right system at a club. You have to. Otherwise, it falls apart. This is on the way Chelsea have been run more than any one manager, because it can't keep being the manager's fault when you haven't been in a title race for getting towards the best part of a decade. It's crazy. Terry versus Bridge. Cole. Bridge. I don't know what Cole's in there. Cole, as in actually Cole cheating. Courtois versus KDB. Felix versus Porro. Yeah, it happens in football. And Ryan Giggs versus his brother. Way. Lee doesn't like. We'll come back to the Mudryk and Arsenal stuff later. Chelsea spent £319 million on forwards. Crazy is what Chike has got to say here, and it is that the imbalance in that spending is mad. Terry needs to at least speak. I was only doing the chatting because Lee had to go off and do something with Tooth. A few people are saying,
me, mate. Seriously, it's throbbing.
A few people are saying, sorry, let me just say quickly. A few people are asking about the title. Yeah, read the title. It says Mudryk to Arsenal, done deal soon. I didn't say it's complete. Literally read what it says and the emoji, my friend. It literally says what the title is to all those people. Read. I know you can read it and you're just trolling, but there we go. Viewers, make sure you're smashing like buttons and you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. I want to ask you, Weghorst to Man United, what you saying, bro?
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Is that where Man United are at? It was all going so well for him, wasn't it? Although saying that, he will bag goals. He will score headers. He will be a nuisance. But let's be real. He is literally Burnley level. He's not Man United level, but is a... If he's a player that's just going to sit on the bench and be a plan B, cool. If he's going to start games, no. Yeah, that's not what they need at all. I'm shocked they didn't go for Felix and put the money on the table, because I think he fits in perfect for them and for us. But if he's a backup, a second, like a plan B, 20 minutes to go, throw him on, make a nuisance like he did against Argentina in the World Cup, then yeah, cool. But if he's starting week in, week out, that's a big issue, mate. That's not going to work for them. Nah, not going to work.
I'm you know me, I'm honest about these things. I was underwhelmed when I saw it. There is a bit of excitement now in the sense of I would love for him to prove everybody kind of wrong. When we signed Igalo, and I do think this guy's probably slightly better, but not too much. When we signed Igalo, there was a lot of Uncle Iggy. There was a lot of like, this is terrible. What's he going to do? And I actually thought for a short space of time, he came in and I thought he did okay for us. I thought he did okay. However, I kind of feel like there is a bigger plan, and we'll get onto that later. But then I read what Wesley Sneijder said today, fellow countryman. Wesley Sneijder today said, in terms of striker, he is literally someone Man United are. Is he literally really someone Man United are waiting for? I don't think so. They still have 300 of those players in the Premier League. It must be a stunt. It really can't be true. So that is what Wesley Sneijder has had to say about his fellow countrymen. And I will say, Wesley Sneijder and Van der Vaart, you know, they are brutal in the media, but that is a damning statement about this signing. And look, Man United is bored and not fully backing Ten Hag in this window, and we know why. There's the multiple excuses. They're selling the club though. I'm like, why does that matter? It literally doesn't matter. They should be investing the money. But the reason they're not doing it is that they have very little money right now. There was some talk from a financial expert the other day that said to me, Terry, actually, the club is running at the moment on the money they're saved from not paying Ronaldo. Because and this is what happens when you're on your 5th project in 5 years. And each time that your project has failed, the players that leave are going out at a massive loss because your new manager has got a different style and process. And it's like I make this stuff up and you see it all the time. Yes, they put 212 million pound in the summer in, which is great, but we've progressed quicker than we expected. And there's suddenly an opening for us to get top 4. This is when you need the club to go, I know that Šeško or Vlahovic or Harry Kane might cost another 20-30 million pound now rather than in the summer. But let's just spend it. Man United should always have the money. That isn't an arrogance thing. That isn't I think we're better than you. It's based on our turnover. If we didn't have 5 failed projects on the bounce, and if we didn't take 1.5 billion pound out the club in interest payments and dividends, and if the money made on the stock market on our club, which has been about 500 million, was pumped back into the club, we'd be able to afford to do that now. We've run out of money at a very crucial time this season because of our failings in the past. And I see rival fans say, got the biggest wage bill in England. How dare you say the manager's not being backed? But you're missing the irony in your statement. That wage bill shouldn't be that high. We shouldn't have Anthony Martial on £250,000 a week. David De Gea should not have been rewarded with a new £375,000 a week deal. All those big wages that you're saying we should be celebrating are the reason we don't have the money now in this moment to invest in an elite level striker to take us to another level. And it's because the projects have failed. As arrogant as this may sound, what Man United have built over 100 plus years should have us in a position where we have a financial monopoly over everybody. Not a monopoly because a sugar daddy bought us, not a monopoly because a billionaire bought us 5, 10, 20 years ago, but a self-made monopoly, which has only been earned through winning and growing a fan base globally. You've got to remember, we were the first club in this country to add boxes to the stadium. So Matt Busby was in America, saw what they were doing in the NFL and other sports, and was like, we had boxes. We can charge this much more to like corporates and businesses and make loads more money. That's how he was able to build the squad that he did. It was financial innovation within the sport to invest in the club. Where the Glazers took it the other way is all the investment has been to make themselves money, not to make the team the best in the world. And so I'm kind of like, I'm not angry that we're signing Weghorst. It's almost a needs must situation. But it should be another wake-up call to everybody to keep putting pressure on this club to be sold and sold quickly. Hopefully that happens in the first quarter, as many of the journalists have spoken about. But Man United are in this position because of how we've been run for the past 17 years, and more so since the summer of 2013. You know, all those failed projects. And someone said, but you spent 1.5 billion on players, so you should be reaping the rewards of that. So not if those players were the wrong players. Not if you drop 100 million pounds on a striker that the manager didn't want, and then you sell him a few years later at a 40, 50 million pound loss. How is that something to celebrate? Man United fans, the real ones, I mean, that understand the club, none of us moan that we don't spend money on players. We moan that we waste money on the wrong people for the wrong managers at the wrong times. And this manager's getting a lot more than the others did, in the sense of they're allowing him to get rid of players that he wants. They've allowed him to drop the captain. They've allowed him to get rid of the biggest cash cow the club had in Cristiano Ronaldo. That kind of power has not been afforded to Moyes, LVG, Jose, or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's great to see. But I'm still not going to be happy until I see my club being run right. And when Man United are being run right, that means at any moment that we want a player, we've got the money. Because the income we have, the profits we should be making, mean that there should be no contract we can't renew and no player on God's green earth that we can't buy. And it's frustrating that we're not there. And I don't care how arrogant that sounds. That's just the world that my club live in. You know, it's like me being a millionaire, but wasting all the money on Ferraris and cars and not being able to pay my bills and go bankrupt and lose my house. And by the way, that happens to lottery winners. Do you know something like 60% of lottery winners go bankrupt because they overspend on items they don't need? And then they buy houses that are too big and they can't keep the upkeep, and then they go bankrupt and lose everything. That's what these owners have done to the footballing side of our club. They've bankrupted the football element. It's terrible, but there we go. So I know I went on a ramble there, but yeah.
No, I was just sitting listening to you, man.
Do you know what's more frustrating than what the Glazers have done? I don't get rivals to. I don't expect rivals to get it, because they're not going to sit there and listen to Man United's woes. They're not going to sit there and listen to a 2-hour conversation of financial experts about the problems at the club, because it isn't their club. But it's Man United fans I see defending it, saying, yeah, but we spent in the money, it'll be all right. We spent in the summer, it's okay. Yeah, it's not the Glazers' fault that there's no one available now. Let me just tell you this now for a fact. Every football player in the world right now is for sale. They're all for sale. People say, Saka's not for sale at Arsenal. He is at the right price. If a club came in now and gave £250 million, Arsenal would accept it.
Yep.
At some point, the answer is yes. And I give that example because I know Arsenal don't want to lose him, but it just frustrates the living daylights.
No, you're spot on. Yeah, absolutely spot on.
Man United fans roll over and get their belly tickled all the time.
Yeah, but Terry, the reason they do that is because the club PR at both of our football clubs is elite. It is the best on the planet. I had this conversation earlier with troops, and I said, in Spain, this don't ramp, mate. This don't happen in Spain. Real Madrid and Barcelona ain't putting out PR left, right, and centre. They're not putting out PR. Barcelona to a lesser degree, but Real Madrid, the standards are here. One loss is like the end of the world. Sack the manager. Yeah, and that is the standards. Yeah, I've been to Real Madrid's ground. Terry, it just stinks of fucking class. Yeah, and tradition and winning. Yeah, and like in England, I think Man United, is it Neil Ashton that's your PR guy? I think you've got Neil Ashton as your PR guy.
I think he may still be. I'm not too sure.
But then you have all these little journalists that, well, I say journalists in the loosest sense, right? Journalists that are all on the payroll indirectly because they want to get in the press conference. I've had this conversation a million times. And then what they do is they feed what the club are telling them so they can keep the gig at the club. And they might get the exclusive with the Glazers, or they might get an exclusive with Ten Hag, or they might get an exclusive with the Cronkies. Yeah, and they feed information to them, knowing that they've got big platforms on social media. Everyone's, because they've got a blue tick. Yeah, everyone's now like, oh my God, this journalist, he's in the know. He knows what he's talking about. And they feed the narrative through that. It is literally brainwashing. Yeah, that's what it is. And our football clubs over the last 20 years, Terry, have done that better than any club on the planet.
Do you know what's crazy about it? And you saw it with the Joao Felix news yesterday. I totally agree that Man United and Arsenal pulled away for the right reasons in the end. And those right reasons were, we wanted an option to buy it. We wanted more control. What I don't like is, I knew this would come, and I said it on the live stream yesterday, and within hours of that live stream, I saw it from 3 or 4 credible journalists. And by the way, the journalists aren't lying. They're just telling what the club told them. And it was, X club were not that serious. X club made an offer. They didn't follow it up. They weren't really that serious about it. And for me, it's a case of the fact that the same thing is pretty much printed after every failed transfer attempt by every major club now should be the wake-up call to fans to realize you're being lied to. Like, it's staggering. And I get we all want to protect our clubs. And when you're happy with your club, you want to protect it even more. I look at it from the other standpoint, which is just, I'm really not phased. I'm just strong enough as a man to accept Gakpo chose Liverpool over Man United, in my opinion. Darwin Núñez chose Liverpool over Man United, in my opinion. I'm old enough, big enough, strong enough, and ugly enough to take it. I don't feel any kind of sorrow or, because it will happen the other way around. Like, there will be players that will reject other teams for us. Gabriel of Arsenal, your centre-back, said yes to you and no to Manchester United. Lisandro Martinez said yes to Man United and no to Arsenal. It happens on a regular basis. How you know when your club isn't interested in a player is when those same very journalists in the early days of the rumours say, look, Arsenal might look at Joao Felix later in the window, but they've got no interest right now as they're focusing on Mudryk. I can't remember anyone saying that. After he doesn't go through, the same journalists, they go, oh, that's what they tell you. Why wouldn't you have just said that in the beginning then? Because we know that isn't the complete truth. And for me, I don't like the PR side of it. It's so embarrassing. Again, maybe it's my age, maybe I'm old, I don't know, but
yeah, that's what it is, Terry. Like, the older we've got, the more immune we are to BS. That's what it is. Like, when you're younger, like, when you was at school and that, you used to run into school when your team won at the weekend. Yeah, have it with all the rivals and that. So it's just another win, isn't it? Like, don't really matter.
The thing is, and the reason the Glazers aren't even spending now, I don't even believe it's because there is no money. You can borrow money, by the way. You can borrow money even in this point at very low rates from banks. How do I know? I used to work in the actual department of a bank that lends to the majority of the Premier League clubs. I phoned someone the other day. I still know what the interest rates are. They're not like interest rates that you get at retail lending. You're not being charged 7, 8, 9% on your lending. It's much lower than that. They could borrow the money now and go and buy a striker if they wanted. On more positive news, though, because what I would say about the United situation is, in the summer, we will have new owners. And I believe we'll get some decent owners. At the very least, we're not going to have debt. And this is a sobering thought for rivals. Imagine Man United being run by better people with no debt. Our debt and dividends payments per year on average have cost Man United about £100 million. Imagine Man United's transfer budget with an extra 100 million in and owners that directly invest around 30 to 50 million a year. So imagine Man United with an extra 150 million pounds available. What United will be able to do is eclipse everybody in English football in terms of spend, because we match everyone now, barring Chelsea at the moment, and that's with all that debt and all those problems and zero, not one penny investment. And I'll tell you who I want at Man United. I tweeted this out. And I believe it will happen. I believe Man United will go for him anyway. I am desperate for Man United to sign Harry Kane. And I wanted to get your opinion. Harry Kane to Man United, good or a bad move for both parties?
It's good for him. Got more chance of winning a trophy. But I don't know, man. Like, I like Kane. I think he's a good footballer, a very good footballer, and he guarantees you goals. But it's going to cost a lot of dough, which ain't your dough, so you don't care. But if it all goes sideways and wonky, and like you've seen it before with Lukaku and other strikers, Forlan, Falcao, other players that you've signed that were bangers and scoring loads of goals elsewhere, don't always work out like that, does it? And there's always a risk when you sign a player. But I think he's more suited to Chelsea. I can't lie. He's more suited to Chelsea than Man United, because Man United are trying to play this free-flowing. Yeah, Kane's a little bit stiff. Like, he's a very good footballer. He's very smart. He is. He's not got the agility. That's the word I was looking for. Not stiff. Agility. Agility-wise, he's not. I don't think he fits into what Ten Hag wants. He wants quick counter-attacks, free-flying football. Yeah, Kane. I don't know, man. Like, he's a top footballer. Yeah, don't get it twisted. But I don't think he's the right fit for United. Yeah, I think he'd be better at Chelsea. Yeah, because Chelsea will spend money. We've seen that. They're going to go and throw stupid amounts of money in every transfer window by the looks of it. Nearly £500 million by the end of this one in the last two. But with Potter, I think he'd be a killer at Chelsea. I can't lie. Not right now, but once Potter gets a few more players in there and starts getting his setup, I think he'd fit better at Chelsea. I can't lie. Everyone's saying I'm clueless in the chat. Maybe all Man United fans that don't want to hear what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, why would Ten Hag want a 29-year-old Harry Kane?
Again, for me, I think signing I think, listen, the idea of a Xisco or a younger striker, I totally get the attraction to that. It all depends on who else we sign and who else we go for and their age profile. But for me, if we sign Harry Kane today, I think we'd win the Premier League. That's how good I think Harry Kane is. If we sign him today, we'd win the Premier League this year. That's how good I believe Harry Kane is.
In your coffee this morning, mate. That's mad.
And that is
AJ, clip that. Put that on the Clips channel.
That's how good Harry Kane is. And
Harry Kane is a very good footballer, Terry. Yeah, but the thing with Harry Kane, the reason he's dropped so far back is because he can't press.
Yeah, but he doesn't. Yeah, but okay, that's fine for us. That's fine for us. Like, I'm happy with Harry Kane as the out-and-out 9, or in the role he's doing now. Harry Kane's technical ability on the ball and his passing range. The only attacker in European football with better passing range than him is probably KDB, and he's a midfield stroke attacking midfielder. Harry Kane would be feeding those balls into the likes of Rashford and co like you wouldn't believe. And I would love him at Man United. And I believe as long as we keep progressing and we get these new owners in, Manchester United will go for someone like him in the summer. And then you get the toss-up is there. Do you go for a younger version, a Benjamin Šeško? Do you go for an Osimhen? Someone younger, different. Osimhen is different. Osimhen's nowhere near as good technically on the ball, and nor Šeško as far as I can see. Or do you go for a 29-year-old Harry Kane and go, we could get 3 or 4 years out of him. He's got 1 year left on his deal in the summer. You could pick him up for about 50 to 60 million pounds. I'm tempted to go Harry Kane, Prem proven, come here, win us our first title in a decade or so, especially with the firepower that City have got. And if you guys win the league this year, which I think you will, City are going to go big in the summer, aren't they? Because their response is always going to be massive. But viewers, what do you think? Man United, who should they sign? Harry Kane, Osimhen, Šeško, or stick with Weghorst? I want to know what you think and feel. Some super chats here. Says United only sign in cliche players, is what Zach says. I don't quite get what you mean there, Zach. Expand on that, my friend. Lee is biting his teeth so much in anger on Edu. That's how he's got his dental problems. Arsenal will bottle their league as they are signing no one. We'll come back to that one as well. Actually, we'll stay with that because I wanted to ask you, Lee. It's the question on the show right now, the poll right now, actually. Do you think that Arteta is being backed enough so far in January? Is Arteta being backed by Edu and co enough in January?
Nope, we ain't signed anyone. We're 10 days in, it's nearly the end of the day. Like nearly 10 days have elapsed, Terry, and we've signed nobody. They were all out in Florida whilst the World Cup was on. We see the pictures doing the rounds. And they obviously had a meeting, all the hierarchy, Arteta, Edu, etc., with the Cronkies. Stan was even there. They wheeled him out for the day from the daycare. And we've had 6 weeks. In fact, we've had since the window shut in September to line up targets. One of the players that we're linked to, Mudryk, has now been gassed up to be the second coming of Neymar. He's actually known, apparently, as the Ukrainian Neymar. I'm pretty sure Neymar was on the Ballon d'Or list in the top 10 when he was 19. This kid's played 29 league games for Shakhtar at 22. Okay. He ain't been back at all. We should have seen that yellow ticker tape on Sky Sports on the 1st of January. Bang, Arsenal signed X player. Then the 2nd of January, bang, Arsenal signed the next player. Yeah. Instead, we've got accountants in the fan base that are sitting there telling me that Felix was too much money. Oh, it's too much money. Well, it ain't your money, mate. Yeah, Felix walked straight in the starting 11 over Eddie and Ketia. That ain't even debatable. He walked straight in the starting 11. And then it's too much money. Oh, it's a rip-off. It's 15.5 million for 4.5 months. It's nearly £1 million a week. Okay, but now we're going to go and buy an absolute nobody from Ukraine for 75 mil plus a 5-year contract that's probably on 100 grand a week. That's 100 million quid, Terry. So and not only that, where does he start? Because we ain't dropping Saka, and he don't play on that side anyway. Martinelli ain't getting dropped anytime soon. He can't play up front. It makes no sense. I would be looking at it, and I've said this so many times. I said this all the way through November and December, right? This window will determine how ambitious our fan base is and how ambitious our football club is. And all I've seen for 1/3 of this window, no ambition. They're happy with 4th, mate. They're happy with top 4. We're in the best position we could be in, right? And I'll give Mikel Arteta props here. So clip that as well and put that in your Twitter accounts, right? He's overachieved at this stage after 17 games with that squad. 100%. We're 5 points clear of Manchester City after 17 games with that squad. Terry, now imagine this, right? I don't care how much money we spend on a player. It ain't my money. But if you're going to go and do 75 mil plus wages on an absolute nobody that's PR'd himself through this fan base exceptionally, maybe sign him up as the PR guy for Arsenal, because the way he's been twerking for Arsenal, it's actually embarrassing. And if I was a Shakhtar fan, I'd be going mad. You played for Shakhtar. Not only that, the last time you played football, the last time they had a game was the 23rd of November. Their next league game is the 28th of February. Right? So let's say we sign him and he comes in he's available for Man City on the 28th of January. That's 2 whole months without football. Where's he playing? He ain't getting in over Martinelli, which is the only position he can play. He's never played any other position apart from left wing. We're going to do 75 million quid on him, which is cool, plus wages. Why don't we say, there we go. Let's go and get Wilfried Zaha for 2-year contract, 20 mil, or straight swap with Eddie. Let's not forget Vieira and Edu played together in the same teams. Yeah. Hello, Vieira, it's Edu. Yeah, beep, beep, beep. Right? But we could say, look, Eddie's on 100 grand a week for the next 4.5 years. You can have him. Zaha's got 6 months left. He's on 100 grand a week. Let's just do a straight swap. Straight away, we're better. Andy can play the whole front line, both wings and up front. Then what you do, if they say no to that, you pay the money. Pay 20 mil. Let's say 25 mil, right? 25 mil for Zaha, right? Now you've still got 50 mil available for 2 other positions that need plugging. So now you could have gone and got Joao Felix for 15 mil. You've now done 40 mil. Now you go and get Tillemans for 15 mil. You've done 55. Now you put them all on 100 grand a week, or the 2 of them, and you've paid the wages for Felix in the loan fee and the wages combined. Bro, we've done 55 mil. And when Arteta sits there against Newcastle the other night, goes, don't really fancy Fabio Vieira. Nah, Tin, no. Yeah, Wilf, come here, mate. Yeah, warm up. You're coming on. Yeah. Oh, Felix, you're on, mate. Tillemans, yeah, you're on. Instead, we're sitting there, piss-arsing around for the best part of 7 months on the Ukrainian Neymar. Turn it in. Yeah, no way have we wasted this much time. And not only, let me just land. One second. We could have got this player in the summer for 40 million. Why the hell are we still negotiating at around 70 odd? I'm sorry, mate. No need to sign this player. We've got Smith Rowe as backup already. So he ain't getting in over Martinelli anyway, because Smith Rowe's next in line. If he's that great that everyone keeps telling me, even though nobody watches that league, even the Ukrainians don't watch it. Let's be real with this. What about see him in the Champions League? Okay, cool. So you decided not to watch PSG versus Juve because you wanted to watch Shakhtar instead. Shut up. Yeah, you've seen clips doing the internet. Yeah, going round and round and round. Mate, I could put a video together tonight and make Yaya Sanogo look like the second coming of Pele. Yeah, like, come on, let's turn it in here. This football club is not ambitious, Terry. We have wasted 10 days, but not only that, we have wasted from September when the window shut to now, and we still ain't signed him. If we wanted him that badly, we would have bought him for half the price in the summer. And that money that we're looking to do on him now, yeah, we've got all these accountants telling me Joao Felix was too much for 4.5 months. Well, if you work out 100 million quid for the fee and the wages over the next 5 years, that's 20 million quid a year. And he's not even played 30 league games in Ukraine. Sorry, mate. That's weird, mate. Weird, mate. And it's only plugged one position that's already plugged anyway.
I tell you why it's not, though. This is my rebuttal to what you've said. Firstly, does Joao
Felix... I am listening. I need a bottle of water. I'm listening. It's just there.
No worries at all. No worries at all. I look at it this way. Firstly, the Joao Felix deal, to address that, the reason Arsenal didn't want it is because they wanted an option to buy and there wasn't one, and they didn't want to spend £20 million on a player that they couldn't guarantee the signing of in the summer. So I understand it. The point around buy Zaha instead, and I'm going to throw this out to you. If you actually do your research on Mudryk before Arsenal were linked in the summer, go back and re-scout and reports from 12 months ago. This is a kid who has been very well coveted, very well touted, and there's a lot of excitement, hype, and anticipation about how good he could become. And I know, and of course I know, that there's the risk when you buy a young player that they don't fulfill their potential. We know that with every young player you can go and buy. But if we go back to 98-99 season, you guys had Nicolas Anelka, you sold him, and you went and bought Thierry Henry. And I remember the reaction. I was a kid, but I remember what the kids at school were saying. I remember some of the parents who were Arsenal fans of kids that I was like when I was doing kickboxing and karate. They were like, "Oh, why have we got rid of the best one?" I remember this one guy. His name is Robert Lane, or Bobby Lane. He called him. He was the parent of one of the girls who trained in the kickboxing center. He's a big goon, a season ticket holder, still is now. His words were, and I remember this like it was yesterday. Why are we replacing one of the best young strikers in the world in Anelka, who he was at the time, with a guy that couldn't hack it at Juve, as in Thierry Henry? That's what was being said by people. Again, and by the way, back in 98-99, there was not the online access to information to know how good Henry was going to be. There wasn't online scouting reports. There wasn't.
We had Italian football on Channel 4.
You did, but he wasn't doing well in Italy. He didn't do very well in Italy. The point I'm making is that was his view. Your logic of going for Wilfried Zaha instead of Mudryk, to me, that's like in the summer of 99, sorry. Instead of buying Henry, that's like buying Marcus Gale or Jason Yule or Julian Joachim, who were good level attackers that scored 7, 8, 9, 10 goals a season, instead of going for a player that has the potential to be world class. Because Wilfried Zaha is good, but he never will be world class. You're buying a player. When you say where's he going to play, Mahalo Mudryk has the ability to be the lead left-hand side attacker in your team. Martinelli's brilliant, but Mudryk's got the ability to be as good or better, and that's what you need at Arsenal is competition for places. So for me, I understand I get your point around we could have got this done sooner, but the only reason this deal's not done yet is because Chelsea came in and offered more money, and Shakhtar didn't accept your first bid. Arsenal.
Okay, let me just stop you right there on that. Yeah, let me just pick that point out. Let me just pick up that point. Yeah, the only reason this deal is not done, Terry, it's nothing to do with Chelsea. It's because if we really wanted the player, he would have signed in the summer. We were ponce-arsing about on deadline day with Douglas Luiz, 20 million and 1, 20 million and 2, 24 million and 1, 25 million and 2. No disrespect, mate. But if we wanted this kid that badly and he's that great and he's been touted as the best player, and how comes he's only played 29 league games for Shakhtar then? Because if he's that great at 22 years old, by the way, which he is, how's he only played 29 times for Shakhtar in the league? Because I'm sorry, generational talents, my friend. Yeah, generational talents from other leagues, yeah, normally are slapping it by the time they're 19, 20. Why has this kid only played 29 league games? Listen, I hope he comes in and smashes it, Terry. But why are we plugging one position on hope and a load of scouting reports before this came about with Arsenal, right? Why are we doing that when we've already got that position with Martinelli and Smith Rowe? That's already plugged. He can't play on the right. He can't play out front.
So,
right? Now on the back of that, that 75 million can now be used on a Zaha. And when you're comparing him to Joe Chim and all, Terry, I could not give two Fs about next season because this guy's going to come in. He's a next season player. He might have a couple of little nice games here and there between now and the end of the season. He's for next season. I do not care about next season. The future is now, this season. The future is this season. That guy is not going to come in, hit the ground running and absolutely tear the league up and win us the title. Ain't happening. Ain't happening.
I understand.
Zaha, Tielemans and Joao Felix as a free. Now your squad's looking sick. Now you have a chance.
Mudryk will be a better player than Wilfried Zaha. No doubt about it in my mind.
Based on what?
My opinion.
I don't even rate Zaha up here. But based on what? Based on what hype?
Based on what I've seen.
What have you seen? How many Shakhtar games you watched?
I've watched about 6 or 7.
Okay. And what? Against who? Champions League games.
Champions League predominantly.
I watched it twice against Celtics. My friend's a Celtic fan. Yeah, he scored in both of them games. Yeah, electric pace, quick feet, cool. It's fucking Celtic.
Yes, I understand it.
When you put him in against the big boys, I understand. He's played 13 Champions League games, most of them against big boys, and done nada.
Yeah, but that's also got to do with
generational next name.
Hang on. But that's what you're. It's also about what you're surrounded by as well. Forget the next name.
That works as a hard end, doesn't it?
Hang on a minute though, but it doesn't. It doesn't work.
It does.
Hang on, let me make my point back. So when it comes to the whole next Neymar thing, that's not Mahalo Mudryk's fault. He didn't call himself that, did he?
Well, I don't know. The way he's twerking online for Arsenal,
he didn't do that. People do it all the time, and it is a lazy comparison, but he's very highly touted. There's a reason, though, that he's on the edge of a big money move to Arsenal at this young age, and Wilfried Zaha is nearly 30, and he's still at Palace. By the way, he was at Man United and couldn't cut the mustard. Wilfried Zaha, I can guarantee you, Mahalo Mudryk will have a better career than him. I guarantee you. Whether people want to debate better player or not, that will become a subjective thing, but he will play at a higher level for longer. The fact that he's already played, how many? Is it 13 Champions League games? He's already had a better career than Wilfried Zaha just for playing those games.
Okay, hold on a second, Terry.
Let me just finish my second point as well. Yes, I've seen there's been moments in games where I would want to see a bit more from him. But at the same time, is he being coached by as good a manager as Arteta? No. And is he surrounded by as good a quality in his team? Absolutely not. We saw a player leave Wolverhampton Wanderers, as in Diogo Jota, and join Liverpool and go to another level. He had that bit. He didn't become a better player overnight. He suddenly had better quality players passing balls to him. He had a better system, better coaching, and that whole support mechanism enabled his ability to come to, to bear more fruit than it was doing at Wolverhampton Wanderers, where they were playing a more pragmatic style, and he was a little bit.
I totally agree with you.
I totally get it. And my final point would be this, and a lot of your points are logical. I'm not saying they're illogical; they're logical. So I'm not slagging you off like some people in the comments do.
I don't care about it, mate. They come back every week.
I know you don't care. I'm just saying I'm being fair on this. It also comes down to the fact that how many Lukonga, you could argue, is one, but how many of your manager signings?
Oh, fantastic. Go on, finish your sentence.
Signings have been done. I'll tell you as to why. When you think about your main signings, so far, Ramsdale, excellent so far. Ben White, sensational so far. Tomiyasu, brilliant so far. Gabriel, amazing so far. William Saliba, top class signing.
That wasn't his signing.
Thomas Partey. Okay, well, I didn't realize he didn't sign him. Sorry, I'll take William Saliba out. I'll take William Saliba out. Then I thought he did. Sorry. You've got Thomas Partey, brilliant. Okay. You've got was Martinelli his signing? Was he there before? So he didn't sign him. Zinchenko so far has been excellent when he's played. And then you've got Gabriel.
I'll rip that argument to shreds.
And you've got Gabriel. And you've got Gabriel Jesus that's come in who, yes, he's got the injury now, who has been the spearhead catalyst that's taken you to another level. So the vast majority of the signings that Mikel Arteta have made have been very good to brilliant. So to not trust him on this deal, for me is intellectually dishonest of you.
Okay, Cedric Suarez, Pablo Marie, Runnison, Nuno Tavares, Sambi Lokonga. Well, there's 5 I've named straight away. That how many did you name?
Hang on, were they main signings? Were they main like first?
Doesn't matter. You never mentioned main signings. You said Sambi Lokonga, and then you went on to a load of other players.
Yes.
You never said main signings. You said Sambi Lokonga. Yeah, their squad. All of these players playing the squad, Terry. They're his signings. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
William. That's now 6. How many did you name?
I named 8, 7 or 8.
Well, there you go. So now about 50-50.
William's a great example. I think that was a bad signing. There's no doubt. And I'm not saying all signings are bad, but the vast majority of the young players that he has signed.
No. Now you're changing the gatepost. Young players that he has signed.
Well, I'm talking. Okay, but we can bring this round. I'm making a point. I'm making a point that the vast majority of the mainstay and expensive signings. Let me clarify my point. That your manager has made have been successful. So to not trust this one is mad, because you were probably one of the Arsenal fans who were like, how dare we spend £50 million on Ben White? He's going to be a flop. He's been brilliant at centre-back and right back.
Have I not said that? Have I not said he's been brilliant at right back? I don't ever want to see him play centre-back ever again.
Why not put faith in this deal?
Because this is where you...
Odegaard's another great signing as well. Sorry, Odegaard's another great signing.
This is where you and the chat are not listening to what I'm saying properly. I genuinely don't care how much money it is. And I even said multiple times on multiple streams today that I've already done, and this one, that I hope he comes in, hits the ground running, and smashes it. But this is where people are not listening to me. That much money plugs one gap that's already plugged. So unless we're going to go out and get another midfielder and then go out and get another forward, because as it stands right now, Terry, we don't have a striker on the bench. Where's the strikers? We've got Eddie and Nketiah. That's it. Jesus is injured. So unless we go out and get another striker and go out and get a midfielder to go with Mudryk, then this window's been a disaster, because we have then gone and done all of our load on one player, which may or may not be good. Nobody in this chat or you or I know whether he's going to be any good. Nobody watches that league. You can watch your Champions League games. Well done, mate. Well done. Cool. I've watched them. You've watched them. The chat have watched them. Everyone is going based off of hype. Yeah? Hype. I am too long in the tooth, Terry, to sit here and hype up another kid that comes to this football club. I could reel off 20 that have been at Arsenal comfortably, yeah, that have flopped. I could reel off 200 that have been in the Premier League. You've had half of them. The Januzaj, the next Ronaldo, Memphis Depay, the next Ronaldo. I could keep going. But my point is, instead of plugging one gap that doesn't need plugging, that money right now, which is the future, this season, next season till the summer, which is another financial fair play year, go and spend that 75 million on 3 plugs instead of 1 that don't need plugging. And that is what people don't understand, because they're so far gone with this Mudryk hype, yeah, based off of nothing apart from his own Instagram page and a load of top gooners tweeting out compilations with Pop Smoke music over it. It's boring. Terry, I hope he comes in and kills it. He ain't getting the game. He ain't starting.
I hear you, and we will see on that one there. In relation to the deal, wrong one, sorry. Mudryk will be an Arsenal player, reports ESPN. I said it at the top of the show. We kind of know this. It's one of the worst kept secrets in football. We know that he's going to become an Arsenal player. We know that deal is going to get done. It is on its way. So done deal soon is what ESPN are reporting. And I think we'll see some more movement in the next couple of days in relation to that. But viewers, what do you think? Who do you agree with? We're going to go to some of your comments that have come through and some of the super chats that are here. And it's a good mix as always. And by the way, I say this to a lot of people. The reason I have Lee on the show is because he does think differently to a lot of the other Gooners we have on. And if everybody comes on that says the same thing as the previous show, the shows would be very, very boring indeed. Gooner, True Gooner TV, Brandon, of course he does, Lee 2.0, says, I couldn't agree more with Lee. Forget Mudryk, get Trossard, Amrabat, and Mitrovic to add a different dimension to our attacking line. All of a sudden, we've got depth It's not rocket science. I think that's a fair point that you've made. The signings Lee mentioned were quick fixes early in the situation, is what Brian says. It's simple. Lee does not trust the process. That's he's right. If your view is if you view his points through the lens of distrust, it makes perfect sense. And that's why I say Lee offers logic, whether I agree with it or not. To say it's illogical is wrong. If Mudryk was good, City would have bought him already when they needed someone with Sane's pace when Sterling left. City and Shakhtar's have scouts data exchange deal.
Wow, there you go. There you go. If he was that good, can I just say this Endrick lad, by the way, that signed for Real Madrid the other day at 16 years old for 62 million quid, right? How many clubs are in for him, Terry?
I don't know.
Loads. Every top club in Europe wanted that kid at 16. Did we hear Real Madrid are negotiating for 5 months, 6 months, 8 months? No. They went, how much to blow everyone out the water here? Okay, 62 mil, we'll pay it. Yeah, and he had 20 clubs. All the top clubs wanted him. This kid has had Arsenal, Chelsea come in just to rock the boat, Brentford and Everton. Come on. If he was that good, a top team would have already signed him. Like that comment says, he may be great. And listen, I hope he is, but I don't see where he plays.
We will see on that one. I'm sorry, Terry, 80 million for a player who will fight with Martinelli or Nketiah. However, Arsenal have no backup for Partey or Xhaka. We need a CM. That's a sensible argument. What I will say is it's not going to cost you 80 million pounds. It's going to be about 50 million as a guaranteed fee. So the 80 million pound mark is slightly off, I think. Lee, you need to apply logic here. Professionals who know what they are doing, negotiate, and it takes time. If you just pay, you get Lukaku's and Pogba's.
That would be great, yeah, if it wasn't Edu negotiating the deal. Because let's not forget, because we signed Marquinhos as well. I forgot to add that one into the mix. Yeah, Marquinhos was a free signing. But because Edu was such a generous gentleman, he decided to give them 3 million as a little sweet out so we can do business again in the future. What? Why are you paying 3 million quid for a player that's free? Come on. How can people not see this? If we only sign Mudryk, I'm telling you right now, here and now, Terry, if we only sign Mudryk, this fan base that guy will be the most protected footballer ever to play for this football club. He could drop stinkers like they were cussing Pepe for, right? But because it's Mudryk, he'll get a pass. And then what will happen is the ones like me that will go, well, hang on a minute. Why did we only sign Mudryk in this window? Yeah, we'll cause a scene, we'll shout and get all abused and all of that. And then what the club will do is go, yeah, Saka signed a new deal. Because I'm telling you now, that Saka deal was already signed, sealed, delivered, already done. And they're just waiting to see what they can do in this transfer window. Right. So when people want to laugh at Chelsea, there's no plan. Well, what's our plan? We've been talking to this geezer's agent for 7 months. We still ain't signed him. Mad.
This comment from Abs says, I agree with Lee, you, Lee. Our fan base are delusional.
There you go.
This says someone tell my guy how good Mudryk actually is.
Well,
here says
how many games you've watched him.
Cliche. Okay, this is Zach coming back to Man United saying cliche players: Di Maria, Falcao, Sancho, Pogba. Varane isn't cliche. Varane's brilliant. And I'm not going to put Anthony in that category yet because again, I'm trusting
Di Maria, by the way, and Falcao at the time was the third best striker on the planet.
Yeah, do you know what I would say about cliche players is we just
signed Alexis in that link in there, by the way.
Yeah, we just signed. Yeah, but
that list stinks, bro. I can't lie.
Yeah, but this the point I'm trying to make is this is the issue. I wouldn't put Varane in. He's doing very well, and it's too early for Anthony. But this is what happens when you sign players panicking for large amounts of money is to appease fan bases to get everybody excited, rather than giving managers the players that they want. Zaha can play striker. Mir, not an Eddie fan, but an average winger as a striker. No man, get real. I'd rather have Eddie Nketiah play up front. Wow. Eddie's done all right in the last couple of games, though. He's done well.
Yeah, this comment here is reactionary.
Mudryk is the Pepe replacement to rotate with Saka and Martinelli. But where is the Partey cover? Edu needs to work faster.
That would be great if he's never played anywhere other than left wing. So unless Mikel Arteta is going to convert him into a right winger, I very much doubt he's ever playing right wing. He's never played a single game at right wing. He's played left. That's it.
This here says Lee, Arsenal or City, who is more geared to hit this season? Is City crumbling or are they gearing up? Has Arsenal peaked or is there more levels to come?
I'd be more confident about us winning the title if we sign 3 players in this window that can all affect the starting 11. Yeah, but we're not going to. So Man City are favourites. And Man City, they've got ballers everywhere, haven't they? Which is why I'm so peed off, Terry. I'm so angry with the way this has gone so far because we've had so long. We're top of the table. We've overachieved at this stage with that squad. The bench stinks. It's championship level bench. So the fact that we've only really used about 12, 14 players and we're 5 points clear, they should have been all in for players already. We should have signed players already. They should have been playing at the weekend against Tottenham.
I get you.
They ain't.
Imagine being in a title race unexpectedly and wasting 10 days of transfer window. We must maximize. Only at Arsenal.
Yep.
And Lee doesn't like Mudryk, but he will be amazing. And I'm sure if he's amazing,
like Mudryk, I said I hope he comes in and smashes it. But the way our fan base have gassed him up to be the Ukrainian Neymar, the way the compilations are doing the rounds, I am absolutely sick to death of hearing this guy's name. Like real talk, he better come in and hit the ground running, mate. Yeah, because I remember what this fan base did to Nicola Pepe.
I think he may, though. Yeah. I think he may. Well, I think he may.
We'll see, won't we? I hope he does.
I think he will. I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to do well at Arsenal. I just get that feeling about him. And I've been right about a lot of Arsenal predictions, which is crazy, really. Just it's one of the.
You are an Arsenal fan, Tel. Like,
so everybody keeps telling me. Speaking of Arsenal fans, I mean, you triggered a lot of people online today with the whole Chelsea are bigger than Arsenal comment, which was mad. We shared the clip from last week. I didn't even think much of it. I put the clip out, and yeah, like 25,000 people have watched it. I think it's had now like 100 quotes and nearly 100 quote tweets.
Lee don't know what he's talking about. He stinks. He's this. He's that. Terry, if I had £1 for every time somebody slagged me off, I'd be a billionaire and buy Arsenal and sack the whole fan base. Like real talk. Yeah, they ain't got a clue what they're talking about. Terry, Chelsea are bigger than Arsenal. They got more global fans than us. Yeah, if you want to take in social media, they're even bigger on that. Yeah, but I won't put that in there. They've won more trophies than us in the last 25 years, which, by the way, all the kids that are crying about it are probably under the age of 25. So they don't remember anything around that era anyway, right? Not only that, they've dominated over us in Europe. They've won 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Europa Leagues. They won, I think they've won what's the other cups they've won? They'd already won 2 cups. I can't remember what they were in Europe. The Fairs Cup, maybe, I don't know, or something else. We've won a Fairs Cup, whoopee. Right? So they've dominated in Europe. They've dominated us in the Premier League. They've, in the last 25 years, been the most successful club in England. They've got a bigger fan base than us. They've got a bigger income than us. They've got more fans globally, more fans online. In what way? What way are we bigger than them, apart from being the most vocal on Twitter? Who cares?
Listen, I understand your logic. And I think some of the things you mentioned, amount of fans, recency, amount of trophies, European Premier, I think it all plays a big part. I did want to get your take because obviously we won't speak now before it, but it is the North London derby this weekend, isn't it?
Yes, I'm live 1 minute ago, so I got a couple of minutes, mate. Yeah.
Oh yeah, just very quickly. North London derby. Give me your prediction.
I'm going to upset all the top gooners that cry in the comments every day. Cliche comment to make, but form does go out the window. They're trash. We're not at the moment. We're top of the table for a reason. Harry Kane, I think, is level with Jimmy Greaves, is he? Is he 1 behind or level? He's warming up nicely for us, isn't he? 2 goals against Palace, a goal against Portsmouth. He could break the record, all-time top goal scorer at Tottenham by doing it in a North London derby. It's mad how stuff happens, isn't it? But as bad as they are, I think it'd be 2-2. They'll get their contractually obliged penalty and Harry Kane will break the record. But I think 2-2. When I get later down the week and I see the team news and injured players and stuff like that, Saka obviously went off with a sprain the other day on his ankle. But I hope we go and beat them because we ain't beaten them there for 9-10 years? 2014. Yeah. So I hope we beat them, but
I get that.
Mate, I've seen us play against them in a 5-4 game where their team was crap and we had all of our superstars, and they still bagged 4 that day. So as much as people want to sit here and want me to say, yeah, we're going to go and slap them, yeah, it don't work like that. It genuinely don't work like that. So we could go and slap them. Everyone negative. Well, why are you watching it then, mate? Yeah, I'm spamming the internet this week, mate. Trust me, I'm everywhere this week. I'm live in a minute. I'm live later. I'm live again later. 3 more lives today, mate. I've already done 2. Yeah, every day this week I'm on it, mate. So if you think I'm negative, I
appreciate that. Obviously, I'm doing my predictions later on in the week. I'm not going to like burn content for later. My own personal predictions, top 6 show, and all that jazz. Lee, always a pleasure to speak, my friend. We did just have a super chat coming in. It says, "Watch when Arsenal just sign Mudryk on deadline party and sign no one else. The fan base
will still be happy. They will. Anything they do and Arteta do, mate. I ain't even blaming Arteta. Yeah, whatever Edu does, it's Don Edu.
Don Edu. What's they talking about Chelsea are not a bigger fan base than Arsenal
they are globally. Facts. Absolute facts. Google it. Check it out. It's all on the internet, mate.
If Mudryk was world class, City, Madrid, Benfica, Porto, Dortmund would all come in for him, like for Alvarez, Enzo, and Maxim Peroni. When a top Premier League club comes in for him, of course, he baited the fans, is what the prodigy fraud son has got to say here. We really appreciate all your opinions, all your super chats. Make sure you smash the like button before you leave. Lee, always a pleasure, my friend. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God